This is the one I got. There's no name on it, although it does say Eagle over here in the instructions. There are quite a few of these that are available, different, they look very similar and probably are almost exactly the same. As I looked around for them, I saw that there were several different models available. Some of them have 2 holes that are threaded to accept inserts. I've got 1/4" inserts in here. And then over on this side, they would have a 17 would have a 7/16 inch hole and a 1/2 inch hole that aren't threaded. You just use those to drill through. Well, I wanted to be able to drill more than 2 holes at the time with a self-centering jig. So I kept looking, and I found some that had 4 holes that were threaded for inserts. But interestingly, they would still only include 2 or maybe 3 inserts of each size. Finally found one at Infinity Tools that includes 4 inserts in 1/4 inch, 5/16 inch, and 3/8 inch. 4 of each to go into the threaded holes in the jig. I'll include a link in the description if you're interested in that. It is made in Taiwan, but it came accurately adjusted. No problems with the bushings being undersized. Drill bits fit them properly. It centers properly. The markings were accurate on it, and I'm very pleased with it. I went ahead and made 2 of the counter stools that she was wanting. They turned out very good, and in using it, I decided I might be able to make it a little easier to use. One of the things about it, as it comes, you're supposed to mark your workpiece, and I did that with just a little 2 pieces of wooden ruler that I trimmed down to the right width, and put it on there and draw your line on either side, and then match the line up with the lines in the jig. I hope you can see that inside there. That's the way I did the 2 counter stools. It works. It's a little tedious. You got to do your marking. You have to mark the opposing piece where it's going to be joined. You have to transfer your marks across to it. It works. In fact, I was very pleased with the results, but I thought I could make things a little bit easier on myself. So I want to go over a couple of things I've done to my jig and made for it. First thing I did was put sandpaper, adhesive back sandpaper, on either side of the jaws. That makes it a little easier to clamp it down without it sliding around when you're putting pressure on it with the drill. Another thing I did was I made 3 locating pins in all 3 sizes. Drop the pin in. It goes all the way through. You can put that in a hole you've already drilled and locate the jig up and down your workpiece as needed, and keep everything evenly spaced on the holes on it. You will notice this type of jig does not have a hole in the center. However, these are spaced so that if you move it over and drill another hole, the 5 holes will come out evenly spaced for you. The bars that go through the end of it make it so that you can't get real close to the end of your workpiece if you're just trying to line up the workpiece to the end of the jig. You're spaced in about 1 inch. That may work fine for you, but if you're using it on narrow stock and you need to get it in there, you're not lined up with the end. You've got to line it up with the marks. So next thing I did was made a stop block to use with the jig. Just 2 1/4 inch bolts through a piece of scrap, and I use the jig to drill the holes through it. Put it through there, tighten it down with a couple of wing nuts. The length of the stop block is where I want it in order to be able to put 2 dowel holes in the end of a workpiece about this wide and have them evenly spaced. Another thing I made was a distance gauge. I took a small piece of scrap wood, drilled a 3/8" hole with the dowel jig, put the dowel in, glued it, let it dry real good, drilled a 1/4" hole all the way through the length of the piece of scrap, and then another 1/4" hole up above the hole that goes through there. Went to the table saw and drilled and sawed a kerf all the way through the piece of wood, and it goes completely through the 1/4" hole. You take a dowel, stick the dowel in the hole, adjust it to where you want it to be, and just tighten it down. May need a wrench to tighten it real tight, but I think that's going to work. Then you can space the jig along your workpiece that distance from this hole to your next hole repetitively and accurately. Going to do another little quick project today to show you how accurate this can be and how the simple additions I made to this jig can make it easier to use. I got 4 legs cut up. This is all southern yellow pine. It's about 32 inches long. They're the same length, whatever they worked out to be. I've got 10, actually I don't need 2 of them. I've got 8 spacers that'll go in them. And simple construction. This will be a rail that will go in centered up here. There'll be another rail down here. And of course, there and there, there and there, and then the next piece up. You get the idea. I'll show you how I drill some of these holes now. Okay, let's give this a try.